Welcome back to the Rebel's Edge, where we, Pete and I, are waiting for Nvidia news. Maybe a little PCE, not so much Jackson Hole, but it does matter. But the real drivers this week are going to be the Nvidia news, whether or not they do $92 billion in revenue for the quarter. Wow. We'll have that news for you and the rest of today's market activity as well as sports on today's Rebel's Edge. Bang. So I heard some garbage trucks going by you.
That didn't seem very legitimate.
It didn't?
Yeah, we got a few of them, John. Yeah. How many more could you have? You get your garbage truck, you get your recycle truck. Why is there another truck that even comes by? And yet there's been 6 or 8. I don't know what the hell's going on, but it's a beautiful day here in Cambria, California. So I can't complain about nothing.
No, I guess not. It's a beautiful area. And so you just went from Southern California to more northern, maybe not all the way up to San Francisco, but you'll probably make it there, right?
I will finish the trip for my wife's birthday gala. Will end in San Francisco. As a matter of fact, going to the Giants game with a bunch of guys that are friends of mine out here in California. So that should be fun. I think we've got a suite for about 20 of us. So that should be good.
Wow. Sounds like you guys are going to be having quite the time, Pete. Can't blame you for that. Well, maybe. Well, let's dive right into macro, Pete. And I hit it, of course, at the top with the cold open, as we like to call it in showbiz. With the, it's a big deal. Nvidia earnings, because they just keep on performing and outperforming. I mean, WTI crude oil is also down some $39, Pete, from the highs that were in March 9th, which was 119.48. Now, some people will say, sorry, Pete, some people will say, well, why are you talking about that? Well, for the same reason everybody that looks at SpaceX says, well, it's down 50% from its all-time high. It doesn't matter. It's where it is right now and whether or not you'd buy it or sell it. And I would say that right now I would sell crude oil still, Pete, because I think we're going to be in the 60s as we get into September. Not beginning of September, but by the end of September. That's a prediction here.
Wow, I like that. That might have to go on the poly-predictive markets. Here's what I got, John. You were talking about Nvidia, and of course, Nvidia is a huge storyline of the day. But as you were just mentioning, you look at WTI, which is where the direction I was going. But 3 months ago, WTI hit 108. It was up and over 109 and all the rest of it. Everybody was like, oh, gosh, what's going to happen next? This is just going to get worse and worse. It didn't. As a matter of fact, in July, we got very close. We were under 70. We were at 68. It's been an interesting ride. We did pop right back up into the 80s, but now we're coming back down towards the 80, 81 sort of range. So, yeah, I would say that is big news because you and I have been in this and pounding the table and will continue to do so because of the fact that when everybody wants to point towards inflation, it's one thing right now that's really 90% of it all, and that's crude oil. And with crude oil coming down, 80, 81, that is a big drop in a very short period of time. So I think that's a major catalyst. Why are we at all-time highs? Well, earnings are great, and WTI is coming down. That's why.
What about the VIX, Pete? The volatility, since the markets are in a wait-and-see mode for PCE, for Nvidia, not so much for the Fed, because I think we all kind of know what he's going to say. And he's really the one that matters out there in Jackson Hole. What do you think about the VIX and how tight a range are we seeing today?
Well, when the range for the day is about 25 cents, I would say that's pretty tight, John. I mean, we're sitting right there. Well, let's just call it 1550 to 1575. That's about where we've been so far this morning. And interesting that it's, waiting and seeing, right? Everybody wants to wait. Everybody wants to see what's Nvidia going to, do. Is oil going to continue on this path to the downside, which is going to help all those folks that are all worried about the whole inflation world of everything. So yeah, I think it's pretty interesting. It's very, very tight, a tight range, and it's been holding around these 15s, John. So under the right circumstances, if things go well, we might see the VIX start getting a lot closer into the 14s. But that's under the conditions that a few things have to happen. And one of them would probably be a really nice commentary, maybe out of somebody like Nvidia would be one of those, I think, just because they are the biggest, the baddest, and the influencer when it comes to chips, right? I mean, they're the big boys.
Yep. Well, let's hit prediction markets, Pete, because our mutual friend, Tom Lee, he's the chairman over there at BMNR, Bitmine Immersion Technologies. And I noticed that he was saying, Pete, that ETH or Ethereum has had its largest weekly gain since May of 2025 and even November of 2021. It was up 30% last week. And he says, whenever you see a big move like this, Pete, in those two circumstances, both of them led to 160+% move over the next several months. So Tom is pretty bulled up. And one of the reasons might be our prediction market today, Pete, which says, will the Clarity Act become law? And when will it become law? Before April 1st of next year? Before July 1st of next year? By July 1st of next year, they say 58% chance. April, 37% chance. This is one that a lot of people are really hanging their hat on, Pete, thinking that if we get the Clarity Act passed, we're going to see cryptos back in the driver's seat again.
Yeah, that's going to be something very interesting. And shoot, we've already seen a pretty nice reaction in crypto of late, and we'll see if that's something that can continue on an upside sort of a path that they've been on. But yeah, it's interesting, John. I see that one, and July, that one makes some sense to me, just because it seems like people are going to kick it around. So the fact that it's at 58% or whatever sort of makes sense, I think. We'll see how this plays out, but there is no denying that crypto is back in a lot of people's focus.
Yep. All right, folks, you know what's behind me right there. That's RebelCon 2026. And RebelCon, we're going to have a lot of great folks out there at RebelCon. We really encourage all of you to scan that QR code, because you can see all those folks who are going to be there, some of the agenda, the fun that we're going to be able to have, because Derek Stevens and his brother Greg have really rolled out the red carpet. It's going to be a fabulous event. And if you pick up your ticket before September 10th, you're going to save $200. So it's $495 instead of $695. There's going to be hundreds of folks. There's going to be hundreds of these hats floating around the casino and so forth. And everybody that scans the QR code and puts their name in, you're going to get a hat, whether or not you can make it out there or not. So make sure you scan that QR code, folks. Check out the agenda. Again, pre-IPOs, crowd funds, quantum computing, data centers, power, all of those big topics. Obviously, a lot about Nvidia, which has earnings tonight as well. All of that and more on RebelCon 2026. It's going to be fabulous. I hope you can join us. And with that said, we're going to go right into what we're doing with Nvidia. Because you know what, Pete? There was a massive bet placed yesterday. How massive, you say? Well, 90,000 calls. 90,000 calls. Every call's for 100 shares of stock, folks. So that means that somebody put down a bet that's basically a $10+ million bet, and it controls $2 billion worth of stock. Just do the math, folks. 9 million shares times $230 a share. That was the strike they were buying. So they're thinking it goes a lot higher than where it is right now, Pete. That was the biggest trade I've seen in Nvidia probably this year. It was a massive trade. They're expected to earn 90, or not earn, they're going to put up sales of 92 billion. And I think you're going to give us your prediction for the revenue going forward, Pete, which is not like it's going to die off. The revenue going forward, they're saying, is up, up, up.
Yeah, they're looking at a lot of different things, John, right now, and that I think are very much the positives. We'll see if they actually can come through with that. I mean, you know, it's interesting, and it's always going to come down, as you and I both know, it's going to come down to some of that guidance as well. So are there some whispers out there coming into these earnings, and is that why people are buying the calls? It sure seems that way. And you know, we're talking about earnings that are looking at maybe what, 200 or $2.08, maybe $2.09. And yet there's a little talk out there that maybe it's going to be even higher than that. So if that's the case, we might be seeing a pretty nice move. And clearly somebody out there thinks that that's going to happen, John, with the size of that trade that was put up there one day before, right? So it's going to be interesting. You know, we've been waiting for this particular name to bring up their earnings, and it's always at this time where they're almost out on their own. We've already heard from everybody else, but the big boy has got a little bit more time. So this is going to be an interesting one for sure. And you know what? They've done a great job in the past. We'll see if they're able to do that again, because I think this thing could very, very quickly, under the right circumstances, could get right back up where they were just, what, a little over a week ago when they were significantly higher than they are right now. So that's going to be something to watch closely.
Well, let me tell you this, folks. There are 24 billion shares of this company, of Nvidia. Not 2 million, not 2 billion, 24 billion. And it's actually even a little bit more than 24 billion shares out there. So when you're talking $2 a share in earnings per share, Pete, not revenue, not sales, but earnings, that's a big deal. Yeah. And the next quarter, they're already projecting, folks, the analysts are, that the number might be 100+ billion in revenue. So when you add these things up, this company is not far, Pete, from being able to declare an annual run of $1 trillion in sales. God. Oh my. Yeah. Sounds like the data center play is dead, right? Anyway, let's jump into Meta, Pete, because Meta's interesting because they had this case going on. A bunch of state attorney generals were going after them hard because they said, well, you know, these guys were hurting children's mental health by keeping them addicted to apps like Facebook and Instagram. First of all, kids aren't on Facebook anymore, Pete. You and I know it. Apparently, whoever wrote that article doesn't know it, but there aren't a lot of kids on Facebook. That's for grandma and grandpa. The kids are on Instagram. The kids are on TikTok. The kids are on Snapchat. They're not on Facebook. But anyway, it is one of the companies that is part of Meta. And knowing that there was going to be a settlement pending and how large it would be, we didn't know for sure, Pete. But somebody put a bet down just yesterday. Somebody put a pretty big bet down that the number was going to be good as far as where they were, because, you know, Meta was trading yesterday at much lower levels. META, you know, the former Facebook folks, was trading down in the 570-ish range. So they put on a big trade betting that they were going to see some sort of great numbers. Well, guess what? They were, and they did. And Pete, it opened and traded through 593 today. Ooh. From 571. So whoever bought those calls for about $1 ended up with up to an $8 profit on that trade. So in other words, 7 times your money, folks. 700% in a day, one day. What do you think of that, Pete?
Well, it's not an option, John. I mean, you know,
not an option.
I mean, let's be honest. But, Yeah, and this is a stock that struggled because of things like this, and this case particularly is something. But they're going to pay a pretty handsome number. But you know what? As long as this gets to be something in the past, that could be very, very good for Meta, of course. And I think you're 100% right about the fact when you're talking about who's on Facebook. I mean, let's be honest. It's a different crowd than it was, and it's an older crowd for sure, because everybody else is on all these other different types of things that are out there right now. But 12% year to date to the downside is where we are. Near the lows of the range or whatever is also something that I think is something curious to see. But now that this is going to be behind them, this could give them a great opportunity to be one of those stocks that starts making a pretty substantial move to the upside. So I saw that, this move that we're seeing today, that's great. I think into the future that potentially Meta could be going a lot higher than it has already. So it'll be very interesting to see what kind of a rebound to the upside that they've got. But as long as other things are going in the right direction, I think that Meta has the opportunity maybe to be one of those stocks that could be a leader in that whole thing.
Yeah, they could have a pretty nice second half of the year.
Yeah.
Even though, of course, we're a quarter into the third quarter, Pete.
Yeah.
But we do have, 4 solid months ahead of us after August. All right, let's talk about Abercrombie and Fitch. Best ever second quarter sales revenue. They delivered 1.27 billion in net sales, Pete. 5% increase. That was their 15th consecutive period of growth. That is pretty close to unheard of. I don't even know if we've seen much better than that out of Nvidia. I mean, this is an absolute fabulous performance, Pete, and the stock is up 40% so far today. Abercrombie is, and it's already traded almost 7 million shares at mid-session.
And I just got to add to and say the same thing that you did, just so people fully understand it, John. 15 straight quarters of growth across all the brands that they have as well. I mean, we're talking about a really amazing thing. Now, yesterday, you and I actually, I don't know if you saw this, but we caught some flack from some Yahoo out there who said that we were dancing around about this whole thing about one of the stocks that we were talking about, and the fact that they made this acquisition of Foot Locker. Well, it was a debacle. I mean, that's what it was. I mean, they made this acquisition. It's not working. They're having some troubles with this thing, and that's going to be something that they're going to have to fight through. That's not something that these guys got to fight through. These guys are absolutely crushing it. And to your point, John, I mean, best ever Q2 sales that they put up, that's pretty daggone impressive. And then the 15 consecutive quarters, you put all that together, they crushed it. They crushed their earnings. It's up 37, 40%, whatever the number is right this moment. But for all the right reasons, this stock is ripping to the upside. I mean, there was not one blemish on this thing. This was an absolute incredible delivery amongst all the other previous deliveries. So, yeah, I'd say this one's pretty damn impressive. And by the way, for all the people who just keep on having to tell us how bad the economy is, looks like people are going out and spending a little bit, right? I mean, it's not just Target, it's not just Walmart, it's not just the discounters. Abercrombie and Fitch is showing that there's another level that's actually doing pretty well also.
Pete, how about this? Excluding, not including, excluding the $1.75 benefit from that tariff refund, the company earned a profit of $2.42 a share versus an estimate of $1.96. I mean, come on. Come on. I hope that same person that was giving us crap about the Dick's Sporting Goods horrible integration of Foot Locker has something to say about that, because we'll share that with you guys tomorrow. So bring it. Bring it. All right, Pete, Intuit. Speaking of not bringing it, Intuit did not bring it. Now, this is basically the parent company of Credit Karma, TurboTax, MailChimp, all three of those. Well, their Q1 guidance was well below street estimates, Pete. So we can look at the backwards looking, what did they earn for the quarter? How much were the sales? or we could look at the forward, which is horrible compared to what the street expected. The same thing would happen to Nvidia, by the way, if, that's a big if Jensen Huang put up a horrible guidance, Pete, that stock would tank.
Oh,
now this stock is tanking, but I'm not thinking that Jensen Huang is going to screw up like Intuit has.
No. But like you said, John, I mean, you can't have a quarter that's bad and then have to actually project out into the future and talk about how bad that looks as well. That's a recipe for disaster. And that's what's happened here. I mean, take a look at that move from 370 just days ago back down to 340. That's pretty significant, I would say. That's a pretty good drop. Now, can they have any kind of a recovery? Yeah, at some point in time, but they've got to be able to now deliver why things have changed, how things have changed, how they can actually put together something that's going to be a little bit closer to get them to the area that they need to get, because they completely missed it in this quarter. That's not good. Their projections, like you talk about, the expectations out there, still below those estimates. So they're kind of in the penalty box for right now, John. And that might take a while to shake that off. It might take till the next quarter's earnings report and all the rest of it. So we'll see. But this isn't one where I think I have to hover around it and say, you know what, I don't want to miss this thing running to the upside. I think we've got some time.
Yeah, I don't need to be on this train right now. I'm going to wait for the next station or the station after that. All right, let's take a look at the videos of the day, Pete, because we've got a high school quarterback that has been starting for the varsity since he was in 8th grade. Now, he is the #1 recruit on most people's lists. Mm-hmm. And this kid is next level, Pete. I think they've won the state 2 or 3 times under his leadership. So let's give this a look and listen. You'll be watching him play on Saturdays, folks.
Maybe Sundays.
High school quarterback turned down an NIL offer worth over $1 million, deciding to stay in his hometown of Alabaster, Alabama, instead of securing the bag. And based on what he just did in the first game of his senior season, you could say he made the right move. Trent Seaborn is the quarterback for the #1 ranked team in Alabama, Thompson High School. He's been the starting quarterback for the Warriors since 8th grade, leading this squad to 3 state championships. And from what I saw in just one game, I could tell why he had 37 Division I offers before committing to Alabama last October. Trent has extreme composure out on that field, having the ability to make any kind of throw he needs to. His best throw of the game was when he stepped up in the pocket and dropped a perfect ball over the middle for his 4th touchdown. Trent threw for over 300 yards in this eventual 41-14
first game
win.
of the year.
Seaborn has always been a team-first guy, and it's safe to say the back-to-back state champions look primed for a three-peat because of it. This high school quarterback...
Yeah, three-peat.
Yeah.
Pretty amazing.
How can you imagine and turning down the money, John? That's got to be difficult. But going to Alabama and all the rest of it, that there's probably going to be some NIL money that's going to be okay, I would say. So we're not too worried about Trent.
And if there isn't, Pete, he won't be at Alabama very long, even though he's an Alabama kid.
Yeah.
I mean, they're going to have to open up the wallet a little bit at Bama for this guy.
Yeah, he looks pretty special. I'll tell you, there's some unbelievable players out there in high school where it's not even fair against the competition. And we saw the score of that game at the end, too. I mean, they put up 40. That's not so bad. All right, John, speaking of college football, how about we kick this one off with an old pro football guy, Bill Belichick. And I just was curious about this one wanted to kick it around with you because, last year goes to North Carolina. They lose their opener, John, in a bad way. TCU beats them pretty good at 48-14, right? Who do they got coming up this Saturday? TCU again. So I guess it's going to be something where we're going to have to keep a close eye on this. Now, they only won 4 games last year at North Carolina. That's a bit of a problem. They thought when they got Belichick and he got his GM and he put together this group of coaches and so forth, I think they were looking for a lot more than 4 wins. So there's a little bit of heat, maybe even more than a little bit of heat, I think, on Bill Belichick. John, what do you think about this one? Because when you look at it, obviously great coach, but was he a great coach because he had Tom Brady? Probably a lot of that is due to Tom Brady, I would have to say. But, you know, he is a good coach, and they took him for all the right reasons, but they're going to have to turn this thing around. So I'm going to say that this thing, if it's a 1 to 10 kind of a heat thing, right now, I would say that it's sitting at about a 9. Now, if they take out TCU and they actually beat TCU this time, 48-14, I think that thing cools all the way off. But for right now, I'd say the seat's pretty hot in North Carolina. What about you?
Right. And they're lucky, Pete. They're playing TCU in Dublin, Ireland.
Yeah.
The end of this week. So I say that it's lucky because you know, if you had to travel down to Texas to play Texas Christian University, that'd be a tougher place to play than Dublin, where it should more or less be. Maybe the Texans travel, all those TCU students and parents and things, Pete, but it won't be the same as being at an away game. Here's a couple of them that I think they could win. The over-under is 4.5, Pete. So ETSU, they play them at home. Okay, should win that one. At Clemson, should lose that one.
Yeah.
Notre Dame, ouch. They play
Still
that
won.
at home, but Notre Dame is loaded. So
They are.
that's a loss. They're going to play Pittsburgh. They're going to play Syracuse. They're going to play Miami, UConn, Louisville, Virginia, and NC State. Yeah, I think the guys are pretty smart on those prediction markets, Pete, as well as the sports book saying, hey, 4.5 is the over-under for wins this year. It's not shaping up like it's going to be an easy task for them to even get to a bowl game, where you got to have 6 wins to get to a bowl game.
Right. Yeah. It's going to be interesting, and you know what? He will start feeling that pressure if it doesn't start very well for them. They're going to have to win some games early on to keep the fans coming to the stands. So that'll be interesting. John, how about this? Who do you think is going to be one of the biggest surprise teams this year? And when I say surprise teams, you know, in the NFL, you got the draft, you got free agency, you got all these great opportunities to build up whatever you want to build up with your team, right? So when I say surprise, I just mean who could really improve to be somebody this year, who could be into the playoffs that wasn't last year and that type of thing. I think the Kansas City Chiefs could be one of those, but I'm going to go with the Las Vegas Raiders. And the reason I say that, John, is that in free agency, they did something that they really needed to do. They bulked up their offensive line. The offensive line was given up. They were a sieve. They gave up so many, you know, different quarterbacks' bodies because of the sacks that were occurring was awful. So what did they do? They went out in free agency, basically day one, and grabbed the best center in the entire, free agency. So I thought that was a great move with Lindenbaum. They did a few other things. They also grabbed Fernando. They also grabbed Kirk Cousins. So they've got some quarterbacks there who can both throw the ball. They've got talent out there. They've got that great running back from Boise State out there. What do you think about these guys? That's going to be my team, but is there somebody else that you, or do you want to stick with the Raiders? I mean, I think the Raiders have a great opportunity to be a playoff team, a great opportunity. Obviously, there's competition within where they are and who they're playing, but I really do think that they have upgraded that, as well as with the coaching, by the way. The coaching bringing down from Seattle and putting this thing together with Kubiak. I think that the Raiders really did a lot of things to clean up, and I would also give Tom Brady a lot of credit for being one of the guys leading that whole thing.
Well, I'd say that I always liked the Raiders, Pete. I like the swagger, and they still have it, even though it's undeserved until recently, maybe. But they always have the swagger. I like the Chargers. So this is a team they got to play, of course. But I like the Chargers because is this the year? I'll pose that question to you, Pete. Is this the year that Justin Herbert looks like a playoff quarterback instead of just he has several great games and then a little oopsie here and there, and they lose a couple in a row, and then they've got to try to come back, and they'd never quite put it together for the playoffs. I think this could be that year, Pete. And I'm not saying it's because of, they got the Miami Dolphins coach as the O coordinator now, but that might not hurt. A little fresh blood. And they do have the ability, and he is a guy that does like not just to pass the ball, but he likes a lot of what Harbaugh likes. He likes, but he just hasn't had the players around him. He hasn't had the players to really stack up that double tight end, just smash it right at you football. And then every once in a while, have Herbert, find the open guy and be able to put up some big numbers. This could be the year. So my pick would be the Chargers, but I don't disagree with you with the Raiders. It depends. The Boise State kid has to get healthy, and he has to play healthy throughout a, 17 games schedule now, Pete, because that's been a problem for them up until now.
I think this will be a good year for Harbaugh. And it was a bad year last year. The problem last year, I think, John, really came down to the injuries on that offensive line. I mean, starting the year, they looked fantastic. And you've got Joe Alt on one side. You've got another great, all-pro type candidate on the opposite side. But they just kept having injury after injury after injury. And they were all, it seemed like, on the offensive line. So I think if they are healthier this year, I like your call on this one. Because Herbert's a damn good quarterback. But any quarterback, if he's getting hit and he doesn't have enough time back there, that goes for the Raiders, the Vikings, and a lot of other teams. If they don't have time to be able to deliver that football, that's the problem. I mean, these guys all have great arms for the most part, or whatever. So, yeah, I think I like that call with the Chargers, and there's no reason that both of them couldn't turn this thing around, and both of them couldn't be in the playoffs. So that could be pretty interesting. But I sure do like the quarterbacks, and I like what they did in free agency as well as the draft with the Raiders. So, yeah, I'll stick with the Raiders, and I think the Chargers are another one as well.
All right. Well, I threw this last one in, Pete. Because I saw as this thing hit, I was shocked, quite frankly, and I do mean that the number is this high. And it was CTE, major study finds 1 in 4 former NFL players had that CTE. And of course, that's something that has caused players to commit suicide. It has caused players to, if they didn't end their own life, in many cases, their lives were cut short, sort of like your friend, Pete, Billy Ray Smith. He was in his early 60s, I think, when that poor kid passed away. But 1 in 4, based on, they examined players who died from 2016 to 21. So that's 6-year period. 878 who died in that period, 24% tested that they could have had CTE as part of why their lives were shortened. That's a scary number.
That's amazing. And I did see that come out, and I just was, shivering looking at that, because it's just amazing, and it's unfortunate. And, are they doing something to try to get these guys to go out and test and so forth and have gotten more aggressive? The answer is yes. They've got guys going into MRIs and paying for all the things that they need to pay for. But it took too long. I mean, these poor guys who obviously have lost their lives didn't probably have that opportunity. So I think it's something that the NFL knows is an issue, and they're doing what they can now. But they were a little late to the game, unfortunately, John, when it's all said and done.
Yeah. I remember guys, Pete, that said that they could make helmets safer 20 years ago. And those companies went out of business, basically, because they couldn't get the NFL and then college and then high school and so forth to buy into it, because the helmets were more expensive. Now you've got light helmets, which is founded by a brother Armenian. Not founded by us, not by Pete, not by John, but we met the guy. He's an Armenian guy that has come up with a great light helmet that does protect the brain better. And there's an awful lot of them in the league right now. So hopefully we'll tell you more about that, folks. But Pete and I have been asked by a couple people to help basically bring that helmet to more folks. They're doing a money raise right now, and we are not employed by them right now. This is just my opinion. I think they have a great product, and anything that keeps these guys safer than those 868 people that died. Again, not every one of them was a CTE case, but 24 point something percent is a scary number and a high percentage.
That's brutal. That's brutal. Yeah. Oof.
Well, we will be back tomorrow for the wrap up on the week, folks, of the Rebel's Edge. Remember, you want one of these snazzy hats? Scan the QR code on the screen and you can get one of these snazzy Rebel Investors Club hats. We just put out some great information again today. We do have opportunities for you to get involved in pre-IPOs like Anthropic, like ChatGPT, and so forth, for those who want that, as well as crowd funds. We're going to have a fabulous group of speakers out there, entrepreneurs. We're adding people every week. I encourage you strongly to scan the QR code. You're under no obligation when you scan it, folks, but we will offer an awful lot of great information that'll make you a better investor. So scan the QR code, check out the agenda. Hopefully you can join us the 20th and 21st of October at the beautiful Circa Hotel and Casino. So for Pete Najarian and I, Pete, we'll be back tomorrow, but do you remember what time?
1 p.m. Eastern, John. We're going to be here. We're going to be ready for it, and it's going to be another great day. As a matter of fact, it'll be our last day of this week because we don't do it on Friday. So looking forward to it, John.
That's right. Tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern, and right after the bell tonight at about 4:15 or 4:30 p.m. Eastern time, Nvidia earnings. Bang. See you tomorrow, folks.